welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, ET Now special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. This is the only daily MSME platform in the country, a show where you can voice your concerns and get answers to all your queries directly from our team of experts. We understand the issues that you, the MSME entrepreneur, face, and the show aims to bring you the most relevant and the most updated information on everything related to your queries. We are taking in your questions tonight with our panel of experts. I have with me in studio Sushant Mitra, he's the founder of Lead Angels. We also have T.R. Bajalia, he's the former DMD of SIDBI. He's also the ex-executive director and head of the SME business at IDBI Bank. All right, let's kick the show off then with an email that's coming to us. Do stay tuned. At the end of this show, I'll tell you how you can write in to us if you have any question about any aspect or any industry that you're in. This email is coming to us from Himanshu Singla. Himanshu has written in to us to say that he is a web hosting company. He says that he already runs the company as a sole proprietor and plans to launch an additional company, which is an e-commerce company, where he's trying to get some funds. His question for our experts: should they keep this new company totally separate or bring it under the roof of the main organization? Gentlemen, as always, pleasure having you all here on the show, and let's kick this off with Himanshu's question.
So, I'm assuming here that he's looking for venture capital or angel funding and so on, and therefore my advice to him was to form a new company for this business, so that the funds can enter, maybe interested in the e-commerce business, but not interested in the web hosting business. So, if they don't wish to be part of the web hosting business, they can only be investors in the e-commerce business.
Okay,
Sure.
I feel that if he is going for this separate company, the banks will process this as a totally grassroots or new unit.
Correct.
In that case, interest rate may be higher. He may have to provide additional security, or perhaps maybe they may ask for corporate guarantee of the existing company. In case he goes in the same company, based on the cash flows of the existing company, the banks will draw a good comfort and they can meet their requirement. Interest rate also, depending on the rating, based on their existing operations, I think he can get the good rate of interest also. So, that way he gets the more comfort if he goes as a part of, perhaps maybe one, unit number 2 under the same company. So, he can try on those lines. I feel that will be better. His overall performance, overall as a company will improve. Okay. It may be different vertical, but over a period of time, his growth will be more fast.
He'll see the benefits.
Yeah, he
in
will
the long
see
run.
more benefits.
Right. So, to conclude, depending on whether he wants to raise debt or he wants to raise equity, it will determine what sort of structure that is.
Right.
Okay, so Himanshu, that's an important tip for you. Depending on what kind of finance you want to raise, do keep in mind the advice that our experts have provided for you tonight. Our next query is a call which is coming to us from Zahid Hussain.
We are an IT service-oriented company, mainly working on application of regional language like Bengali and Assamese in computers. Is there any organized plan from central or state government to implement digital education in regional language on priority basis, so that larger community can take part in digital activities?
Zahid, thank you very much for that question. Now, the government, of course, is talking about Digital India. They're pushing Make in India, but with regards Digital India, I do know that a lot of the mandate has gone to the government websites that they have to, have the information in regional languages. But as a larger push, is there any incentive companies that are looking at regional languages can tap into?
So, specifically, what I know that a lot of companies have gone, bid for this type of work, whether the large system integrators, whether it's IBM or it is Wipro and so on, and he could actually approach them to find out if he can become a sub vendor to them, to these system integrators, and reach out to a much larger audience than he on his own can reach out, because they have offices all over India, across different state capitals. And leveraging their presence, he could reach out to these people. Of course, be aware and maybe get notified as and when a new tender comes in these areas.
Okay.
Maybe I think state governments, mainly if he is going for regional languages, state government perhaps they may have some policy So there he can try with the state government, see if any incentive or any other facility is available for them.
Sure. In fact, speaking of state governments, I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, Google was going very aggressive when it came to regional languages and
Yes.
working with the government, particularly in the field of education. So the momentum is there. He just needs to know whom to tap into. So all the very best for that, Zahi. Thanks for calling in with that question. All right, let's take in our next question. This is an email that's coming to us from Katrodia Arvind Kumar. He's written in to us to say he's a manufacturer of gold, silver and other commodities. His question to our experts is that finance is his biggest challenge. He says there's a lot of machinery which helps him to come up with innovative designs, but says that he's not in the position to buy these machines because of fund paucity. He's written in to us to ask us how our experts would recommend that he solves this. And just off the bat, maybe I can ask you whether buying machinery really is the only option, or whether, say, leasing or renting is also an option which is available to him. Mr. Bajalia, would you say that it's necessary that you own these equipment? Is there any way that he can, maybe
Yes.
possibly hire it and therefore not having to go for finance?
Definitely, he can take these equipments on lease basis also. Or you see this gold, this particular, he is in gold and silver, this industry. Here the requirement of the working capital is very high. And then the banks, they don't have any specialization in assessing that, okay, this gold is of 24 carat or 22 carat or 10 carat and this thing. So maybe the specialized lenders like some of the NBFCs which give loan against gold and this thing, perhaps those people, they have the arrangement with different agencies where they can do. Banks have limited exposure in this. And if we see the track record of this particular industry, gold, silver or diamond industry, the banks generally, they have burnt their fingers. Correct. Because the borrowings were huge, securities were not adequate, and due to sluggish international market condition, the value came down drastically and the banks have to suffer a huge loss. So I feel that if he has got some collateral security against whatever the value of the equipment which he wants to do, based on the collateral security, I think he can get the loan from the banks.
Okay.
I just want to add that in this particular field, as Mr. Bajalia said, there have been a lot of companies which have closed operations. He may also want to explore what second-hand equipment available with the banks and other financing agencies are available for him to buy.
Yes.
So is that advice that you give the manufacturing
Yes.
companies in your portfolio? Would that largely be a cost effective?
Lot are there. Lot of companies in diamond and gold industry, they have suffered huge
loss. So the banks may have repossessed their machinery,
Yeah.
and that machinery may be available
That may
to
be
buying at a low cost.
Discounted rate.
Yes.
Okay, so that's an important tip for you, Katrodia. Do hope that you're able to find a way around really being able to raise finance when it comes to actually buying the equipment. You can look at other options. Our next query is coming to us on Facebook. Sharat Kumar has written into us to say that he's in the banking software development services space. He says where he's facing concern is attrition, where they train people and they don't have any industry exposure, these people who are taken on board, and that after a few months these employees leave. Sharat says this is creating a huge problem because it's slowing down their progress. He's written into our experts to ask if they can suggest some ways that they can take care of these issues and what the way forward is. Finance and manpower, of course, is something that every business, regardless of which industry you're in, face. But this is very sort of high value work. If he's in the banking software product space, what would you recommend?
Lot of turnover is there in software industry, lot. After 2-year experience or 3-year experience, another software company, they know that they are working in critical areas which are very, very important today. They will give them a handsome increase and poach these people. So these are happening in most of the IT companies, and in my opinion, this will continue. Perhaps he needs to have a good team, or he may have to look after their requirements. If he can improve their perquisites or their salaries or give them something intangible benefits, perhaps they may continue. But it has to, you see this, unless these people are motivated, and motivation comes from the salary side, one thing, another is job satisfaction and growth. If they find that in this company there is a potential for growth, there is a good job satisfaction, and on salary perquisite sides also are being taken care, then perhaps attrition will come down.
Today, large companies, companies like Amazon, who are competing with startups like Flipkart and Snapdeal in India, they're trying to figure out how can they create an environment like a startup, because the young generation of employees likes that open environment where things are informal and people have flexible working hours and so on and so forth. So I think if large companies are trying to emulate the startup world in terms of their HR practices, this is something that he may also like to explore. The other part is to create a culture where informal, where people get multiple jobs to do rather than just doing the same thing over and over again, and so on and so forth. Of course, from a financial perspective, there are two things that people do. One is, of course, stock options, but what he could also explore is having some part of the compensation related to the time the individual spends in the organization. So that means after 1 year he gets a certain bonus, after 2 years he or she gets a certain bonus, so that becomes a hurdle so for the next employer to acquire him, because the employee will have to let that go.
Let's take a quick break at this point. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue answering all of the other queries that have come into us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. Welcome back with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight we're answering all of your questions with our panel of experts. Let's take in a quick call at this point. It's coming to us from the line of Ashok Chauhan. Go ahead, Ashok.
We are manufacturers and suppliers of white non-metallic minerals, and I would like to know how can a small manufacturing business distinguish itself from already established players or big manufacturers in the market when the product offering is similar or almost the same. The big manufacturers sell their product at very limited margins or most of the time lower than the cost of production to capture the market share. Under these circumstances, how can a small business survive this competition?
All right, Ashok, that's a very important question, and I'm sure that a lot of your peers would have the similar question that, you have technology now that's really leveled the playing field across industries, and in such a position, if you're a small player, how do you effectively compete with a larger player?
Mr. Chauhan, I feel that first thing is that you have to find the competitive advantage in your products. You have to see the how your product you can make better, or the same product, whether with the competitive price or with the other intangible benefits like after sale those benefits, which, and then you give a focus attention on your customers. You have to identify who will be your good client. So you have to focus on those clients, because the market is huge. You can't cater to the entire market, but if you identify who could be your best clients, and then perhaps you have to provide the best services to them on the better terms, and you can take care. There are various examples where the large units they are offering, but the clients are going to the smaller unit, and since they have a good relationship with them, so you have to create the relationship with the potential clients, and you have to identify and take care of those clients. That is the crux, I feel.
Okay. Do you have anything in your mind?
No, exactly. I think so. Large manufacturers are able to cater to large clients, and because of their pricing and so on and so forth. But often smaller or mid-sized clients find it difficult to deal with large companies and prefer, as Mr. Bajalia said, dealing with smaller vendors, and that is probably one area which he can explore. And the other, of course, is that there could be product categories where he can build a niche, and rather than trying to be everything for everybody, focus on those niches where he has some strengths.
Okay, that's in response to your question, Ashok. Thanks for sending that to us. Let's take in another query coming to us on Facebook. Gurpreet Bhatia has written in to us to say that they are an IT solutions provider, and he says that despite having good marketing spends, they are unable to make profits. What factors do we need to keep in mind and consider while budgeting for marketing spends for them to then recover the same in the revenue which has been generated? Gurpreet, thanks for writing in to us on Facebook, and in just a moment we'll tell you how you can also reach us on Facebook. But since we were talking about marketing spends earlier, let me come to you, Sushanto. Just give our viewers a checklist if in your mind you think that there are 3 or 4 things that you must keep in mind when it comes to a good marketing plan.
Sure. So I think it's often said that, we all know that advertising works, but you don't know which half works, right? So the problem of most marketing spends is that you are not able to track that what you spent and what benefit you got out of it, and therefore it's possible, whether it's on print or any other medium including the internet, that you could spend huge sums of money without realizing any benefit out of it. So my advice to them is to spend in very small bits and figure out what is the result of that and track the results, and then spend more money on it. I think the best advice to anybody who try and find a way, as we startups say, how to find a growth hack. That means find a way that you can market your product without spending money. That's the first thing that you should try. So can you get your existing customers, give them some benefits if they refer a new customer to you, or find ways of people to maybe try your product before they buy it. So there are multiple ways that startups use to reduce their marketing spends, because they obviously do not have the same marketing muscle as their larger competitors, and therefore you have to be as innovative in marketing as you are in your products in this space.
And there are a lot of online analytical tools now that help you really understand where your money should be going if you're spending any money.
That's right. Actually, SMEs, they can't afford huge expenditure on marketing. So what they have to do, they have to think of innovative way of marketing. And I feel these days a good website with good profile and good product structure, and when gives a good approach or to other clients on that basis. Perhaps they have to identify those clients, and on continuous basis they have to keep on writing to them. These are the products or this thing. They can create their blog separately, and these days now this YouTube channels where they can put small pictures or small videos defining their products and how they are different from others. They have to create some USP for their product.
Sure.
And meanwhile they have to keep their cost also under control, because they feel that they are not earning any profit. So they have to cut on expenditure. Without cutting on expenditure, I think if you are not making the profit, you can't survive for a long time.
Okay. That's in response then to your question, Gurpreet. It's not going to be a fight that you're fighting on money, of course. So look at other ways that you can employ when it comes to marketing your product. All right, time for another query, and this is coming to us on Facebook from Vijay Poddar. Vijay says, they're manufacturers of food ingredients comprising of different things, including food flavors, spices, mixes, etc. He says they face challenges when it comes to shortage of talent and skills. The challenge for his industry specifically is how they can develop solid talent pipelines within both the local as well as global markets to ensure that they meet their needs. He has a second part to that question. He says, making it hard to manage both production as well as profits. How do you resolve the above question? I'm not very sure what he's talking about when it comes to increase in population, because if he's in the food business, then he's definitely going to benefit from that. But let's tackle the first part of the question as far as Vijay is concerned. For a traditional industry, which is the food processing, the food manufacturing industry, which is so competitive, which is so small and which is so fragmented, can he use the same advice, for example, that you were giving our earlier, query in terms of how you go about retaining talent?
So I think one is that there is a shortage of talent. You ask whether it's a top end IT company or a product company, or you ask traditional industries, there is a lack of talent. And on the other hand, we have the problem of having so many unemployed youth who have gone through their education programs, but they are not finding jobs. So I think our education systems and the industry factories are not well aligned to each other. That means on one side you have a lack of talent, and the other side you have a lack of jobs. Whereas if you see examples in other countries where people who are already studying are doing internships with companies, so that they are learning, and of course the company is also benefiting because they are getting maybe people to work at a much lower cost than they would otherwise. And when they graduate or they complete their diplomas or whatever that they do, they are then suitable, they have the right talents and the skill sets to employ them. And some companies have done it very successfully, even in India, where they have programs across ITIs and so on, where they take on students as interns in their shop floors and so on to do that. And I think this is something which we need to do more and more in India, and that is something that maybe Mr. Poddar could explore.
Okay, just before I come to you, Mr. Bajalia, when you're talking about types with ITIs, for example, do you think that's something which is accessible only to a company of a certain size? What about smaller companies?
No, anybody can hire them.
Okay.
They generally go for self-employment as proprietorship, small entrepreneurs, or anybody can hire these people.
Sure.
I feel that he is facing, one is the shortage, acute shortage in marketing side. So marketing side, he needs to get good marketing people, I think, for domestic sale also, and for international he can appoint some agencies also who can take care on contract basis, he can take there. But here domestically he needs some people in marketing side. Then for the growth purpose, he wants a pool of talent in technical side for production side. I think a lot of people, as you have said, are available in the country, technically qualified, and if he needs experienced people, perhaps he can again he can find out that maybe he can go to some headhunters, or maybe small with small ad, I think he can get a lot of people. So a lot of people are available, only he has to find out what way he wants to do that.
Okay, sure. Vijay, that's in response to your question. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for being with us here tonight. That wraps up our episode of the Call-In Show today. Do remember, if you have any question about any aspect of your business, you can always write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can personally tweet at me at Sunanda_J. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT, or call us on the number you see on your screen. I promise to have all your questions answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.